Should you dine at Boma or Tusker House? Today, these two restaurants are going head to head in the ultimate showdown to see which is better. I'll be judging each restaurant on the food, the value, and the theming to see who comes out on top. Here at Disney World, there are two buffets offering African food, but which is better? You have Boma, which is a buffet at Animal Kingdom Lodge. This place is pumping out some amazing food, there's no doubt about that. It is a beloved restaurant by so many Disney fans. And then on the other hand, we have Tusker House, a restaurant in Animal Kingdom that's also serving an African-inspired buffet, but with the added element of Disney characters. I'll be ranking the food, value, and theming at each restaurant out of 10, and we'll crown a winner at the end. Let's start with Tusker House. Okay guys, we have made it inside of Tusker House, and I must say this restaurant is really tucked away, kind of hidden in a little corner, and I wasn't entirely sure where to go. I've only actually been to Tusker House one time, and that was back in 2018 on my college program. I came for my friend's birthday for breakfast. You kind of check in next to the Dawa bar, and then you loop around to the side to come in, and once you do enter the restaurant, you are greeted with a humongous dining room, or dining rooms, which usually isn't a good sign for character dining because that means there are so many tables that these characters have to get to, and there's so little time that they could spend with each table because they have to get around to so many different tables. So usually it's not the best of signs, but I do think we came at an off time. We came around like lunch, which it seems to be pretty empty in here. It's about 1 o'clock, so maybe it's good to come around lunch opposed to dinner because the restaurant is pretty empty, so maybe we'll get a little bit more character time. One of our categories that we are going to be ranking today is theming. So let's talk about the theming of this restaurant, and it does kind of feel like you're at like an African base camp. I love the decor on the walls. There are so many different artifacts, and even when you're walking in, you see kind of so many different things that you could probably find in Africa. And another thing that has to do with the theming, I think, are the characters. And it looks like we're just jumping right into it. Mickey's already at our table. I mentioned the character. Oh, maybe not. Oh, he's going right over to Promise.
Uh-oh.
Mickey found a friend.
You guys.
You know what I think? I think we need to get Mickey one of your shirts because it looks like he's on safari.
Oh yeah, you are. You match my shirt, Mickey. The same colors.
We need to get Mickey a safari shirt. Now, we've already met Mickey, but we are going to meet even more characters today. We're going to meet Donald, Daisy, and Goofy as well. So they'll be coming around to the tables. And like I said, since the restaurant is pretty empty, I think we'll get a good amount of time with each of them.
It's like a little tiny
animal. It's right here. The people are right in here. There's people in there, yes.
They're
believe it or not.
People. Day here at Tusker House.
We are having a girls' day.
You can be a part of it, yes.
Please join us.
She needs to take a load off.
Oh no, Promise has left me alone with this guy here. The troublemaker of the bunch. Yeah, you, I'm talking to you. Well, we've gotten into some of the theming and some of the characters, but the main reason you guys are probably watching is for the food, right? And this buffet, let me just tell you, is huge. And there's truly something for everyone. We've got some breads and dips to start, a salad bar, as well as some pre-mixed cold salads. Of course, the kiddie area with chicken tendies and this mac and cheese that looks incredible. And then we move on to some of the fancy stuff in what seems like a never-ending buffet line, including this green curry shrimp and this tandoori chicken and salmon, which look particularly good. Okay, guys, I have made my plate, and we're just gonna do one plate here, and then I'll have a little surprise second plate to show you guys as well. But how good does all of this food look? I tried to get like one of everything, or at least like the unique things. I obviously didn't need to get like the chicken tenders or the meatballs or anything, but I've got everything. I've got some of that green curry shrimp here, some of the black-eyed peas, some roasted pork, some of that rice, some of the salmon, some of the chicken, one of the plantains, the roti and the naan and the dip. I don't know. I got it all on this plate.
Really good.
It looks great, Daisy. You want some? I'll give you some. So since we have so much food, let's kind of try and do a little speed round taste test. There is so much to try. Starting with this roti. I'm not sure if I've ever had roti. It kind of reminds me of naan a little bit. I'm not sure if it's the same, but I dipped it in some of that chutney. Really tasty. Nice and pillowy soft. Now we've got the za'atar seasoned naan here. Now this definitely doesn't look like a fresh naan. It looks like a prepackaged one, but hey, that's okay. Let's see how it tastes. I like the roti better. And even though I like the roti better, it's just a little bit softer. I do really enjoy the seasoning on this. The seasoning is really good. And of course, that chutney. I'm a sucker for a good chutney. Okay, now I want to get to the number one thing that I wanted to try from the buffet, the green curry shrimp. It looks delish. Okay, that's really good. The green curry shrimp.
Shocking you?
That's really, really tasty.
Oh, snap. I'm excited. It just looks like something that would be in like Seuss Landing or something.
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting, and it definitely has a little kick. It's also creamy. You could taste a little bit of the sweetness. I'm assuming they use some type of coconut milk or something in it, but that is fantastic. The flavor is awesome. And it also has some broccoli mixed in with the shrimp too. So that broccoli kind of absorbs some of that sauce. Man, that is really, really good. This green curry shrimp, kicking it off for me real hot. That's amazing. Next up, we've got this roasted plantain, and it had something else on it. It was like seasoned some way, but I can't remember what it said up there. A little too sweet for me. But now we've got I think, what were these? Black-eyed peas? I can't remember. But like I think it was called red. How do I remember that? But let's try this out. Has a really smoky flavor. That's pretty good as well. Next up, we've got the curry chicken here. I expected that to have a little bit more flavor than it does, but I think this beef here that I'm gonna try next, this braised beef, is going to have a lot of flavor. It just fell right apart with my fork. That is certainly where all the flavor is. You get all those warm African spices. The meat is really, really tender. That's delicious as well. That and the shrimp so far are my top two. Next up, some of this rotisserie roasted pork. The pork itself is a little bit tough, but the flavor is really, really good. There's a ton of seasoning on that. And I think I'm gonna enjoy this salmon quite a bit. I put some of the green sauce that they had up there on it. That's good. I feel like the green sauce really makes it though. I feel like you need the green sauce, but it is a tasty salmon. I do enjoy it. The last thing we have left to try on this plate, I just picked up my fork like it was my knife, like I was going to use that to cut a piece of the chicken off. But I did put some of that tandoori sauce on this chicken here. I want to cut myself off a piece, and I didn't even have to use my knife. It was so tender, it kind of just fell right off the bone there. Ooh, I really don't like the sauce. Unfortunately, I smothered the chicken in that sauce as well. It's almost like sour. Not a fan. So for me, the winners are this green curry shrimp and that braised beef. Both are really, really good, but I still want to make one more plate with something really special. For my final plate that I promised, I just got a scoop of mac and cheese, which, of course, I review all of the mac and cheese here at Disney World, and I've never reviewed the Tusker House mac and cheese, and I know this plate doesn't look pretty. It literally just has a scoop of mac on it, but we're gonna try it anyway. And this, let me tell you, this looks really, really good. I love a mac and cheese that has like the crispness on top, and this definitely does. Okay, this is really good. Crispy fried cheese on top. The inside is very, very creamy. I love a mac and cheese with a very sharp flavor, and you can tell this is made with sharp white cheddar. This is a winner. Why don't they sell this outside? I don't want to have to pay like $60 to come in here and get this mac and cheese, but I'd pay $10 to get it every time I came to Animal Kingdom. This is really, really good. Well, after that mac and cheese, I had to go back up to the buffet to make myself a little dessert plate. They had a ton of different things. A lot of things with like colored frosting, which I'm not too into. So I got a couple of things to try. I got the zebra cookie, which is pretty much just a chocolate chip cookie with some frosting on it, but I thought it was pretty fun. Just tasted like a basic chocolate chip cookie. But then I also got the bread pudding, which had blueberries and bananas in it. And I did not expect this to be as good as it was. It was served warm. It was amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. Then I also tried one of the s'mores bites, which I was under the impression that it would be more of a s'mores bite, not just a chocolate covered marshmallow, but unfortunately it was just a chocolate covered marshmallow. So out of that stuff, the bread pudding was the winner, although I also had to get a sugar cookie. The Disney sugar cookies are my favorite, so I ended with that. And overall, food-wise, I must say, I was quite impressed with a lot of the food that we tried here at Tusker House. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. There was something for everyone. There was stuff for kids and people who might not be as adventurous of eaters, but then there was, of course, a ton of things that were for adventurous adventurous eaters and for spice lovers, all that stuff. There was so many good things on the buffet. But now let's talk about the third portion of our dining experience today, which is the value. For adults to dine for lunch or dinner at Tusker House, it does cost $62, and for children to dine there, it costs $40. So that is definitely an expensive meal. Most character dining buffets cost pretty much around like the $60 range. So it's definitely something that's expensive. But I do think the food was pretty good. Like I said, there was so many different things. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, you throw the characters in there, so that adds a little bit of value. So it wasn't awful. But now, time for our final Tusker House rankings. And for food, I'm going a 7. Like I said, I was really surprised with the food. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. Just the sheer amount of food on that buffet gives it a 7. For value, we're going with a 6 out of 10. Now, we talked about the pricing, and like I said, it's a very, very expensive meal. But when you kind of factor the characters in there and the amount of time that you're saving yourself from waiting in line to meet those characters, adds a little bit of value in there. And yeah, about $60. You could obviously get a way better meal at Disney for $60, but still, the characters being there adds a little bit to that. And for our final category, the theming, I'm gonna go with a 7.5 out of 10. It does kind of feel like you're in a little African village in there. It's nothing too crazy, but I think what really adds to the theming is the characters. They're all in their safari costumes, and let me just say, if you go at like kind of an off time like Promise and I did today, you are going to meet each character so many times, and those characters were so unhinged.
I'd be scared of Goofy. Goofy's got the NBA height.
Uh-oh, Daisy and Goofy are both got their eyes on Donald.
Look at this. Look at this modeling skills.
Wow, you are like bent. Oh my gosh. Look at Daisy. What is happening? Yo. So the characters definitely really added to that 7.5 score, giving us a grand total of 20.5 out of 30 points for Tusker House. I gotta say, we did way better than I thought. Boma has some competition. Let's head there now. All right, we've made it over to the Animal Kingdom Lodge to have dinner at restaurant number 2, which is Boma, a fan favorite restaurant here at Disney World. And similar to Tusker House, this is an African style buffet, just without characters. And since Tusker House surprised me so much, I'm curious to see how it stacks up to Boma. Let's head inside. All right, we have made it inside. We're seated in a nice little corner of the restaurant, right next to a window, which I love a good window seat. And let's talk about the theming, because the theming here at Boma, other than the amazing food, is another thing that people really, really enjoy. Now, all of the architecture here at the Animal Kingdom Lodge is incredible, and that doesn't end with Boma. You really, really feel like you're in an African village with all of the stuff hanging from the ceiling and all of the little like huts that are in here. It is really, really awesome environment. And of course, you're also at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is an amazing resort here at Disney World. There's animals outside. We can't quite see them from our window, but you can enjoy them before or after your meal. And just being at the Animal Kingdom Lodge is amazing. So great theming here. But one big thing that Tusker House has going for it when it comes to the theming is the characters. They kind of immerse you in that story even more. So while the theming and the vibe here at Boma is awesome, we do not have characters. This is not a character meal. While we don't have characters here at Boma, we definitely do have a ton of food. So let me tell you about it. Now, when it comes to the food and the buffet, similar to Tusker House, there is so much on it. So many unique dishes, but unlike Tusker House, the Boma buffet sometimes gets quite a line. There's only like one main entrance point, and you could end up waiting quite a bit to actually get your turn at the buffet. So just like Tusker House, I like to come to Boma on like kind of an off time where there's not a lot of people here. That way I can take my time like looking through all the stuff on the buffet, and I don't have to wait in a long line every single time I go up. Once you get to the buffet, you are in for a treat. You start off with all of the classic African dishes, including the sweet corn pudding, which I've never seen before. That looks really, really good. They also have fufu, which I've never tried before, so I might have to try it this time around. They always have a baked salmon, and then of course a roasted strip loin, which they are grilling right over the fire, slicing fresh for you and serving it with the famous Boma mustard. We've also got ribs, which are awesome. We've got boboti, I hope I'm saying that right, and some roasted chicken. Can't leave the kiddos out, so there are plenty of selections for them, including, of course, chicken tenders, some pasta, and mac and cheese, but it doesn't look quite as good as the one from Tusker House. After that, we've got some sides, including another famous dish here at Boma, the peanut rice. Before moving on to all of the soups and stews, which I must say are probably my favorite part of the entire Boma buffet. As you can see, there are so many different things to choose from, so I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a plate and I'll show you guys what I get. Definitely not the prettiest of plates, but I did my best here, and the plates are a little bit smaller, so I wasn't able to get as many things as I would like. I did get myself a rib, some of the beans here, of course that strip loin, some of that sweet corn pudding, I cannot wait to try that. Got some salmon, some of that peanut rice, and then some mashed potatoes. And oh my gosh, under this I have some Boma mustard. You can't really see it, but I couldn't get a plate without getting Boma mustard. The main thing I'm smelling on this dish is the peanut rice. It smells like I just have a glob of peanut butter on my plate here, but no, it's peanut rice. It's got some soy sauce mixed in there. Let's try this out first and see how it is. I know a lot of people really like that peanut rice, and wow, now that I'm kind of like getting more into it, it kind of has a little bit of a kick to it. It's definitely a flavor that I'm not used to having with rice. It literally tastes like they took some white rice, made some white rice, and then scooped in a couple handfuls of peanut butter in there. I don't get much soy, it's just the peanut is so overpowering. I'm not sure if I really like that, but I know a lot of people do. So I feel like I had to try it. Now for the citrus and almond baked salmon. They had a salmon over at Tusker House too, so we'll see which one is better. Both are good. The one over at Tusker House had a lot more flavor, but when it comes to salmon, I like just a simple salmon dish. You get the citrus coming through, you get that orange. I'm not getting much almond flavor, but it's nice and flaky. It's cooked well. I do think since I prefer a simpler salmon, I like this one a little bit better. Now, this sweet corn pudding, this kind of has a consistency of mashed potatoes, maybe just a little bit runnier. And I absolutely love like cornbread and anything like corn chowder, anything like that. So this should be really good. That's really good. It tastes like grits almost. It tastes like grits with like a corn puree. Wow, that's really good. Perfect amount of sweetness in there. I really like that. It's like a creamy corn grit. I'm saving the meats for last, so let's get to some of these beans here. Those are okay. Not my favorite. They're in a little bit of a stew, but I got some Boma mustard underneath them, so I bet the Boma mustard is going to make them even better. Boma mustard makes everything better. Okay, some of this strip loin, gotta dip it into that Boma mustard. It's cooked to a perfect medium rare. For a buffet, this strip loin is incredibly tender, and it's super flavorful as well. Has a really nice crust on the end because they are grilling it fresh. And then when you just mix it with that Boma mustard, it doesn't need the mustard because it's very flavorful on its own. That Boma mustard, like I said, you could just put that on anything. It's one of my favorite parts about coming to Boma is getting that Boma mustard. I actually really wish they would just bottle it up and sell it from the front because I definitely have some in my fridge if they did. For a buffet, this beef is an incredibly high quality. This is a huge standout on the buffet here. Like this beef alone kind of makes Boma worth coming to. It is really, really delicious, and the best part is we can just go up and get more. But we still have one more thing left on our plate to try, the ribs. And now I always really enjoy the ribs, but correct me if I'm wrong. Did they change these? These don't look the same as they used to. I'm trying to put my finger on whether I like these or not. I definitely don't dislike them, but I definitely don't think they're as good as they used to be. The sauce is okay. I definitely prefer to just have a ton of Boma mustard on there. And similar to the beef, it has a really nice crust because I believe these are grilled over the fire as well. I think they used to be better. One thing that's really awesome that they do here at the buffet is they have a ton of rotating dishes. Like it's never the same when you come. And I was just talking to my waitress and she let me know that sometimes they don't have peanut rice and sometimes they have coconut rice instead, and they kind of change up the salmon around. And another main thing that they change up are these stews and soups. So today the two special ones that we have are a lamb curry and a seafood stew. Now sometimes here at Boma they have an oxtail stew, which is phenomenal. I love coming on oxtail stew night. Looks like I missed it today, but they kind of rotate between a bunch of different stews. They also have a seafood gumbo that they offer. So I missed all the good ones. I missed oxtail stew and I missed seafood gumbo, but I did get some of this lamb curry to try, so we'll see how that one is. Looks like we've got some big, nice chunks of lamb in there, some potatoes, some celery. It's in kind of like a tomato style broth. Let's see if the oxtail stew has a competitor here. Honestly, this is phenomenal as well. You know, I really should have known that a Boma stew would not let me down. The lamb is super tender. It kind of just melts in and blends perfectly. It kind of tastes like a vegetable style soup, like a thicker vegetable style soup with that lamb in there. And then just a hint of like African spices, like warm African spices. The potatoes are really nice. There's plenty of lamb. This is delicious. I also couldn't resist. I had to get a bowl of the chicken corn chowder, and this is just delicious as well. Seriously, the stews and the soups here are such a standout. Like, I would come to Boma just to get the stews and soups, and that's it. It's so good. It kind of reminds me of like a chicken tortilla soup with the added corn in there. It's a little creamy. Again, ton of potatoes, ton of chicken. This is another hit. It wouldn't be a Disney buffet without a ton of desserts, and of course Boma doesn't mess around there either. We've got a bread pudding, we've got a couple of little tarts and mini pies, the famous zebra domes. That's what everyone is coming here for, the famous Animal Kingdom Lodge zebra domes. And here at Boma, they're all you can eat. We've got a little bread pudding. I also have a hazelnut brownie, and then of course the zebra dome. We'll try this bread pudding first, and they had a bread pudding over at Tusker House that I really enjoyed. This one is good as well, and upped a little bit because it's served with a vanilla sauce. That's really, really good. And then, of course, zebra dome here. You can't go wrong. And then we've got the hazelnut brownie here. Little dry. I could do without this one. With that, we are finished up at Boma, and it's time for ratings. The food at Boma is getting an 8.5. While there are a couple of things on the buffet that aren't my favorite, I think just alone that strip loin, the Boma mustard, and the stews give it such a high score. And like I mentioned, I could come here and just eat those three things and be perfectly content. But now let's talk about value, which is one thing that we haven't discussed with Boma yet. It does cost $56 for adults to dine at Boma for dinner and $33 for children to dine at Boma for dinner. To put that into perspective, I paid only $6 more to eat at Tusker House, which includes characters. So while it is definitely expensive for a non-character buffet, there is still so much on the buffet, so many unique dishes, and a lot of them are very high quality. So for that reason, I'm going a 5 out of 10. And for theming, I mean, the atmosphere in Boma is fantastic, as is all of the atmosphere here at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. So I'm giving the theming at Boma an 8 out of 10. Bringing our grand total for Boma to 21.5 out of 30. Meaning, compared to Tusker House's 20.5 score, Boma takes the cake in this one. It was definitely a close race, a lot closer than I thought it would be. I definitely thought Boma would blow Tusker House out of the water, but there were some things that I really enjoyed at Tusker House. Boma ended up only beating it by 1 whole point. So if you're contemplating between dining at Tusker House and Boma, the two African buffets here at Disney World, I say go Boma. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down below in the comments which restaurant you think is better, Boma or Tusker House, and also let me know what 2 restaurants I should compare next time. Shout out to all of my awesome Patreon subscribers listed right here if you would like to join my Patreon. The link to do so is going to be down below in the description. But that's going to do it for us here today at Animal Kingdom and the Animal Kingdom Lodge. I shall see you guys next time. Bye.